Good evening, guys. A classic opening right there. Went right to the graphic, but we're live. Dogs had a good night, and we've got a lot of plays to break down. We got some stats. Graham, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was good. Watched a lot of football. Spent a lot of time today going back through the game and some stuff that Georgia needs to improve on, some stuff that's exciting and different and encouraging. But all in all, just happy that it's fall and, smoked pork shoulder yesterday, had some barbecue, watched Georgia beat South Carolina. I can't complain.
Nice. So with that, I'm going to throw some of my metrics up here. And you can see that the offense had a good night, 7.2 yards per play, 6.1, which is a super stout rush. And I know that a lot of people are concerned about the O-line performance, but they got going and had lots of big runs, a couple for touchdowns, 8.1 yards per play passing, and 47% success rate. It's pretty good against a quality opponent. I think we saw that actually South Carolina may have been a better opponent than Alabama, Birmingham, and they still manage a high success rate and a pretty good EPA of 0.417. I mean, that's elite level against a elite opponent. And then anything you want to add on that before I throw the defense up there?
I agree with you. I mean, I think we saw there's still a lot of things in the O-line play that need to be fixed, but we did see some better gaps get opened up, and when those gaps got opened up, the running backs definitely took advantage of it. There was some nice creases at times.
Yeah. Onto that defense, they allowed 4.6 yards per play, which is several of that were on chunk plays. Look at that rush, though. 25% success rate. I mean, both pass and rush, the overall success rate allowed by the defense was 23.8. That's beyond elite.
Stout.
And again, a negative overall EPA. And I believe there may be only one other team in FBS that has a negative EPA allowed on defense, and just a 3.0 yards per play rushing allowed with a super low explosive rating of 0.391. If you look down there in the bottom right, you can see the pass explosiveness was pretty high. But again, we've talked about it a bunch. That's the explosive rating is taking out your bad plays and only counting your good ones. There weren't a lot of good plays on the passing, but they were big plays. And Josh Vann had a huge night and a touchdown, and with the first touchdown allowed by the Georgia defense, in fact. So that don't be alarmed too much at that passive explosive rating. But, yeah, they gave up some plays, and I know that's a little concerning, but we're going to get into that here shortly. So overall, yeah, it's elite defense, and the offense is going to get better with more games and more reps.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you. I mean, I think if you're a Georgia fan, and we'll get into some big takeaways as we go through the film here, but things are trending in the right direction, right? Like things are starting to get cleaned up in certain areas that looked a little rough against Clemson. The defense, like the way they've been playing, it's almost impossible like for them to improve statistically over what they did the first 2 weeks of the season. But a little bit of regression is not anything to be alarmed about, especially I don't think we filter out for garbage time, and some of those second half plays that were chunk plays were definitely with second and third stringers in the game.
Yeah, Georgia has not cracked the top 15 in the yards per play offensively, but they're getting there. I think they're probably between 15 and 20. But look at that Missouri team. We talked about it after the second week that Georgia's schedule got a little more exciting with Arkansas getting better, and I think Missouri is putting up some pretty good offensive numbers. So
Kentucky as well. Yeah, look at Kentucky right there.
Kentucky had an interesting game against Chattanooga, but still they're putting up. That's a different offense. It's a totally different offense from the last 3 or 4 years in Kentucky. Yeah. But this is obviously what we want to see here: the defensive yards per play. Georgia slipped down a little bit in this metric, but again, it's a 3.8 yards per play allowed is pretty stout. Look at Syracuse up in there.
Look at Texas Tech, man. The school that can never play defense historically.
And that Arkansas team we just talked about. And then Kentucky's playing good defense as well. I mean, they've got a good veteran team there. And we talked a little bit. I know we're going to get into place, but I want to throw in this one last thing. We talked about last week where my little adjustment for opponents. And if we look at that for this week, this is through the games, week 3 games. You can see Georgia judging by adjusting for opponents. Georgia is number 1 in that net yards per play. And look at that, Arkansas. And again, we've seen these Kentucky, Syracuse, and Carolina. They had a terrible first game, but they're going to be a factor in the ACC for sure.
Yeah, they will. They looked a lot. I mean, they put up 59 points on Virginia last night. Yeah, that's not a team that usually has a soft defense. I mean, Virginia has limitations in terms of athletes, but they usually are pretty assignment sound. And North Carolina, I think they put up about 24 points a quarter in the second half for 21 points. It was crazy.
Okay, you want to get into the plays?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with offense. And, we've got about 30 plays for you guys tonight on O and about 15 on D. So right here off the bat, I love Monken starting it out. We talked in the preview show about Brock Bowers being a mismatch on all linebackers, but particularly South Carolina's linebackers, and brings him in motion, gets him matched up on number 30, Damani Stanley there. And I really like what Todd Monken is doing with Brock Bowers. He's such a chess piece, and he's moving them all over the board, creating mismatches. And Bowers continues to impress with his route running, his hands, and his blocking ability. We're going to throw him some kudos for that as we get a little deeper in here. So next play is just literally the next play of the game. First run play of the night. And we're going to see – oh, wait, no, that's not the next play.
Oh, yeah, shit. Because here we go. Here's the next play.
Okay, yeah, so we get a good push here by the O-line. This was nice to see right off the bat. Things looking a little bit more cohesive. No complaints here. I mean, everybody's moving their guys back a few yards from the line of scrimmage, working kind of behind Warren McClendon there, your left tackle up at the top of the screen. So not a huge gain, but just from a push standpoint, I thought it was a good tone setter for Georgia to try and come out and kind of show that they can move these guys around a little bit. And then here is a really interesting play. So we've talked a lot about struggles in downfield blocking from wide receivers. And so Monken's answer to that is, I'm going to put 2 tight ends out there that I know can block on this swing pass. And they both do their job, and it's a nice little 8-10 yard game for Kenny McIntosh. I think it's creative. I like what he's doing with McIntosh. He's finding good ways to use him in the passing game and the running game. Plus, I think there's a lot of things Georgia could do later in the season once they put that on tape a couple times from a play action standpoint and getting those tight ends working on some go routes. So keep an eye on that.
Sorry, I got to find it here. I hate when it does this. It puts my stuff out of order. What's the next play?
It's
5.
4.
All right. I don't have 4. Can you skip to 5? I missed 4.
Okay. So yeah, this, okay, this is right. This is the right play. All right. So yeah, before the game, Cam Smith, we talked about him being the most talented DB in South Carolina secondary. And if McConkey can beat him on this type of route, then that's a big sign for Georgia going forward, because that means he's going to beat a lot of the guys he faces going forward. Smith is a good DB, and great ball placement by JT over by the sidelines, hits him in stride. That's the type of play where if he underthrows that and puts it behind him, it's an easy pick going the other way. So liked that. And then we can keep rolling here. So this is some good O-line play. We got Schaefer and Sawyer pulling from the left side, and both do their job really well. McClendon gives a nice chip. This is a nice reverse angle here. You see McClendon work up to the linebacker. You see Schaefer kind of get pushed into the guy by Sawyer. He sort of guides him. Sawyer puts that seal on it, and 6 points and the longest run play of the year for Georgia. So nice, explosive run.
I love to see Cook run between the tackles. He hits the right hole and hit it hard and for a touchdown. That was awesome.
Yeah, Cook played really well. I think he played as well as anybody on the team last night, and just his maturity in terms of reading blocks and holes and being patient. I think a year or two ago we would have seen him get the ball, take off at full speed, and maybe not give Schaefer and Sawyer quite enough time to pull into those blocks. But it was beautiful, beautiful job by everybody.
All right, you got clip 13 next.
I do, yeah. So we got McClendon, Erickson, and Fitzpatrick all missing their blocks here. And it's just, I mean, like, these are all reach blocks where they got to be able to get out to their guys, and nobody like seals up and gets on the outside shoulder of their man. And it's just a bad look all the way around. So you see Fitzpatrick running behind the play there, like, oh shit, I messed up. But those are the type of things that are still happening, really. Like, and I mean, no one plays a perfect football game, right? But like, these are really clear, obvious ways where this team can get a lot better. And like, if they start hitting on 70% or 80% of those, this offense turns into like 2019 LSU or 2018 Bama, like just an absolute machine, like what you're seeing the Chiefs do to the Ravens right now. Like, just there's too many weapons, there's too many things that can go at any point in time, and it's going to be impossible to defend. And they could put up 40 on anybody. I'd be like, even the best teams in the country, and they could put up 60 on everybody else. So.
All right, next play, 14.
Yeah, so we saw two levels concepts on the first couple drives, and here we see another levels concept with Mitchell. Just he's gonna work in here and sit down, and just good kind of option route based offense, like we've talked about, where the receiver and the quarterback read the secondary. And for a freshman, Mitchell is doing a really beautiful job of knowing when to sit down in space and let JT find him. And he did it a few times last night. We'll see him again more going forward. So here we go. This is a really nicely designed play. JT does a great job delaying, pump faking. We got a tunnel screen to Bowers, and Schaefer just botches this block. And you see 54 here coming downfield, and he just doesn't put a hat on anybody. You see Erickson there get on number one, but if Schaefer touches that man, that's going to turn into probably an explosive with Brock Bowers' speed. So those are the little things that can be big things if you fix them. So yeah, I love this here. It's just, you're not covering Brock Bowers with a linebacker ever. You can't do it. That's 30 again. Same guy they picked on the first drive. That was clearly a priority for them going into the game, was to get Bowers matched up on him, and they did a nice job of doing that. And then, basically, we've seen all these levels kind of concepts with in routes and out routes. We see this out route to Bowers here. So, like, Monken is kind of setting the secondary up with these routes breaking into the middle of the field and out towards the sidelines. And then finally he comes with the kill shot here and goes all verts, and the DBs are ready for an in route or an out route. And so Burton just gives them a little bit of hesitation, and all of a sudden there's 4 yards, 5 yards of separation. So I think Monken called a really beautiful game last night, and these types of plays where you have guys running wide open, and a lot of times you hear commentators like dismiss them and be like, oh, well, they had guys running wide open. How hard can it be? And it's like, well, there's guys running wide open for a reason. It's because the offensive coordinator, set this up and made a bunch of chess moves to put the pieces in position for checkmate, and there's your checkmate.
Nice. All right, give me your next play here, because these are a little scrambled.
27.
Got it. 27. Here it comes.
So we got Erickson at right guard here. Better job by him, I thought. Number 50 gets a good seal there that allows that run to break open. So just, I'm going to give him some hell tonight. Same with Schaefer, the other guard, but also got to give him some kudos when he does a good job, and he did a good job there. So on this next play, we're going to see Erickson.
35.
35. He's going to mess up the pull here. And because of that, he pulls around from the right guard spot, and he just never touches anybody, never blocks anybody. If you're pulling and you're not blocking anybody, then A, you're just in the way. But B, it's probably not going to end well, and that didn't end well for Georgia. And
that's all right. Next play.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Nope. 36.
36. Yeah. So here, both Schaefer and Erickson. This is a deep shot, I believe, that we have set up, and both of them are just going to get absolutely blown by their men. And it's I think it's the only sack that Georgia gave up on the night, but it's ugly. I mean, Sawyer has to block that guy on the end there. That's his responsibility. So moving forward, we've got – I wanted to give kudos for Bowers here because he does a really good job blocking. This play came back because of the Justin Robinson block in the back, which –
it was a terrible call.
I didn't think it was a terrible call. I thought he was – you didn't think he touched him?
He touched him, but I just don't think that was we're on 44. Was that 44?
Yeah,
okay.
That was 44.
I'm not going to show the replay on here. I thought it was – I didn't think it was he got on him, and then he pulled off of him before it affected the play. But, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. He's been called for a clip or a hold in all 3 games so far, and my fear for him is that reputation is going to start following him, and refs are going to call it even if it's not a clip or a hold, and maybe that's what happened there. But that's something that he's got to figure out a little bit and clean up. So, 47. This is just a little quick kind of stick route to Kyrus on third down. And
this is a nice catch.
It was a nice catch. Really nice route. It's huge having him back. He knows where the sticks are. His route running is very precise, and him and JT have shown a good chemistry ever since he came in the lineup. So exciting to see him getting healthier. And and also good pass protection by Bowers there on the left side of the line. He does a nice job holding off the linebacker, number 30, that's coming in. So next we've got 48. And this is going to be a little play action fake, and Kendall just doesn't see the delayed blitz come there. A little bit of an overthrow or high throw by JT, but he kind of had to throw that before Bowers hit the break. And those are the type of plays where, if Milton's able to pick that up, Bowers is matched up again on a linebacker in the middle of the field. There's one safety there, but that's at least a 15, 20-yard play, if not more. So,
all right.
Then we got clip 50. And I'm just really impressed with A.D. Mitchell, man. I mean, we knew on G-Day that he was going to be making an impact early and that he could make some plays, but his route running is just super advanced for a true freshman. And, we kind of talked earlier about him knowing where to sit down and turn on some of these routes, but he stops on a dime right there. And you can tell that JT trusts him because he throws that ball before Mitchell even hits it. So exciting just to know that we've got him for at least another 2 seasons after this, and seeing the chemistry that's there with him and Daniels already. I expect a lot more big plays out of him this season. And
55.
Yeah, and then again, more A.D. Mitchell. This is just a bomb, but he just burns this dude. Beautiful throw by Daniels. This is it, right? This is what we talked about for 9 months. Is JT Daniels' deep ball mechanics going to look better once his back knee is healthy? Some people said yes. Some people said no. Some people said let's wait and see. I think we can say with confidence now that he is hitting these guys in stride. Those balls are not dying out. That's because he's not having to, throw basically from his torso. He's pushing off his back foot because his back foot is attached to a healthy right knee. So that is huge. Like it opens up everything. The vertical passing game for Georgia is fully here and alive and well. And it's different than anything that we've seen in the Kirby Smart era. And then this is just the reverse angle of that play.
Oh, sweet.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
And then, okay, so clip 63. This is what happens when this offense gets a push up front. So great work on the right side by Erickson, McClendon, and Fitz. And you've got guys like James Cook where if you just give them a little bit of room and, a little bit of blocking, they're quick and swift and they're going to turn it into 20-yard pops really, really quick. So, again, thought Cook played really, really well last night. And then, this is this 66?
60. That's the 60.
Oh, this is defense. Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I think I missed 66. Sorry.
Okay, all good. So let's go to second half, clip 3.
Second half, clip 3. Boom.
Nice. All right. Killing it. So this is another good chunk run. And again, a situation where Schaefer probably could have done a little bit of a better job there off the left side, but he did enough, right? And he didn't get called for holding. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, man. Like if you just raise the level a couple notches, things really start to open up. If this run game is hitting chunk plays like this, Georgia is impossible to defend.
Yeah, that's Amir right there. That's all him. I mean, he saw it and his good vision, and he just hit the only hole that was there, and he hit it for 15, 20 yards. So.
Yeah, he kind of hit that linebacker with like the old DeAndre Swift dead leg cut.
Yeah, but second half, clip 4 for the touchdown.
Yep. Yeah, and good work here. I thought OL came out with a little bit like at the start of both halves, they were pretty clean, and everyone does their job here. Fitz just kind of does just enough on that guy, but that's enough is enough, right? And you give Zeus a little crease, and it's 6 points.
I'm not sure they teach that as a good skill.
I'm not sure. Yeah, he got a little bit.
Just punches down.
I mean, he just kind of sat down and said, "All right, I'm going to become a movable object." It was a smart play by him, truthfully.
No doubt. And it went for 6, so it's hard to complain about 6.
Yeah, and then we've got clip 15.
Yep, here we go.
So this is it was nice seeing Rosemy. He's struggled a little bit since coming back from the injury. The first few weeks, he struggled with some details and some blocking type things. And here he runs a really nice route, does good work after the catch. Like, he's still very explosive, and he's still coming back. And I think, A.D. Mitchell and McConkey and some of these guys are stepping up, but let's not write off Marcus because there's a lot of talent in him, and excited to see kind of how he looks over the next couple months as he continues to gain his form back. And we got 16. Yeah, so Milton's been stuck with some bad blocking so far this year. Like, straight up, he just hasn't gotten a ton of help, but he got some decent blocking here. And just if you give this dude like 5 yards to get ahead of steam, he just absolutely crushes people. Like, he separated Landon Zander's shoulder, put him out for the season. Here he truck sticks this dude like he's Bill Bates in 1980. So
this is one of my favorite plays of the game right here. 19.
Yeah. So this was a really, good job using Cook as a weapon, but Bowers is really savvy here because he sets a little pick without setting a pick. I don't know if you notice it, but you see it really well on the reverse angle. Like, he doesn't do anything that's going to get him an OPI, but he basically makes it so there's no way Cook's not going to score a touchdown.
Yeah, he took out 2 guys and Cook waltzes in.
Yeah, and I think, using these backs, especially Cook and McIntosh in the passing game in these little flat routes, just strains the defense a lot, and I'm glad to see us doing more of it. And I think we could even incorporate more. Like, I'll get into it in a second. So Yeah, clip 28. We've got Broderick Jones in at left tackle, and he's doing a really good job getting a seal on the left side there, and that opens this run up. So he's 59.
And look at Cook on that block on the
yeah.
I mean, our running backs did some good blocking last night.
They did. No, the running backs are special, man. They're all doing a good job right now. And then next drive, we've got Broderick Jones in at right tackle, and he's looking good. That's him, 59. But the reason – and then the last play is 39, and I just want to give kudos to Jermaine Burton here because I gave him a hard time after the Clemson game, but he does a nice job here on this little – screenplay to McIntosh. He makes a really nice block that allows that to go for a first down on third down. So props to him because clearly he's been in the film room after the first couple of weeks. And so before we move into the defense, like I think we're seeing some of these things that we've talked about since Clemson get to clean up a little bit. But blocking grades, like this team right now, and I'm just going to say it, I don't like saying it. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody's child or anything like that, but guard play is holding this team back right now. And Schaefer and Erickson are struggling. And I think that seeing what Broderick Jones did at the end of that game, I know it was the end of the game, but he was still in with the rest of the first team O-line playing against South Carolina's starters. Like, if you can get him in as the left tackle or the right tackle, whatever they want, but if you can put him in the game as a tackle and bring Sawyer back to that left guard spot and then decide, I don't care which one, Schaefer or Erickson, whoever they think is the best choice, but if you can get one of those guys off the field, it makes a huge difference. Because right now, if you look at Georgia's rushing charts and you look at their rush by direction for last night, so last night, if they went off right tackle, they just had one run off right tackle, but it was for 15 yards. When they went off the right edge, so basically they had a tight end blocking off the right side, 7 carries for 79 yards, 11.3 yards per attempt. Left edge, 5 carries, 32 yards, 6.4 yards an attempt. Left tackle, 5 yards an attempt. Then you go in the middle. Once you start bumping into the guards and getting in the middle, it's 4 yards per an attempt, 2 yards per an attempt. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Georgia right now really can't run up the middle with 2 guards that are weak. And if they can bring Sawyer into that left guard spot and, you know, Jones can hold down that left tackle spot, then all of a sudden you can do a lot of things kind of off the left side, but still between the tackles, and it opens up split zone concepts and a lot more of those kind of bread and butter mock and run concepts that we saw last year and that we see all over college football. So if that happens, I think the ceiling raises a good bit for Georgia as an offense. And you still can do all these things outside the tackles from a run game standpoint. But losing Tate Ratledge for the season was a big deal. And everyone was so high off of the Clemson win that I don't think it got talked about that much. But I think that, you know, just looking at his blocking grades last night, you know, Georgia's block grades, Van Pran was number 1, Sawyer was number 2, Broderick Jones was number 3, and then Xavier Truss only got 6 snaps, but he did come in and play right guard, and he was number 4. So there's some solutions there potentially, and I think going against Vanderbilt is a really good time to try Jones out at left tackle and maybe even try Truss at right guard and see what happens. Because if they can get those split zone kind of zone counter concepts going, dude, that's it. Like, that's it. Georgia probably wins a national title if that happens, straight up.
Wow. I mean, in addition to that, I mean, you've got to be able to run up the middle to get those 3rd and 2s and you know, or 2nd and 2s, and you just got to be able to have that in the offense. You can't constantly be trying to run off edge. You certainly you can for those plays, but you got to run between the guards, and like you said, so and if we get it sorted out, I mean, I'd love to see Truss get back in there. I mean, we picked him apart after the Peach Bowl, but he's a veteran, so maybe like you say, everyone gets better with an off season, so maybe Truss gets in there and rises to the occasion.
Well, his body type may be a little better suited for guard, and he struggled with some of those speed rushers, but against tackles at guard, I think it may be a really nice spot for him. So.
All right, jumping into the D.
Jumping into the D. We've got Amir Speed here. This is that first clip 9.
Nope.
It's that.
Yeah, I got to find it. There it is.
First long pass play. And we talked about it in the pregame, man. Like Georgia was going to be watching Nolan running right, rolling right, short stuff, and there was a chance for them to get beat. And Josh Vann is just good. And this is a beautiful throw by Nolan. And it's a dime. Sometimes you got to tip your hat. But Speed and Ringo both, you saw guys get behind them a little more than you'd like last night. And it'll be interesting to see kind of if that changes a little bit of how they play some of these wide receivers as they get into the SEC schedule. And then this is the very next play, number 10. And what's really impressive is that Speed comes straight into the backfield from that DB position and makes a stop on Harris very next play. So kudos to him. Didn't stay in his head, didn't sulk about it, came in there, bust one of the best running backs in the SEC for a loss. Number 12, we told you that Adam Anderson and Nolan Smith were going to feast with pass rushing against these tackles, and they did, man. And impressive to see Adam Anderson at a point where he's bulked up enough to be able to just bull rush a tackle like that, because we wouldn't have seen that from him a couple years ago. And, then we've got number 19. So Lewis Cine is just going to absolutely fill this hole like a, 8-year NFL Pro Bowler.
Oh my God. I mean, it's just, he shoots in there, dude.
Yeah. He chose violence. It's unreal. And then, Jordan Davis.
All right. They're 20. Here we go.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Jordan Davis, what can we say?
He's
cat-like quickness at 330. That's unfair, dude. I mean, he's closing on a running back at 330 pounds. I mean, I think he's probably the best athlete, just from an athletic standpoint that I've ever seen play for Georgia.
Here's the third one.
Yeah, so we see Walther get some pressure on this play, but he's totally unblocked. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the right play. Yeah, just it's a first down, but Jordan Davis again just shoots right past the center off of the gap between him and the right or the left guard. He's just incredible. It's really something to see. And so 25, we've got Walther is going to get pressure. He goes unblocked, but I want to give kudos to Robert Beal, 33. He's coming off the other edge, and he's just a guy that really hasn't gotten a ton of burn in his career, and all of a sudden he's out there as a linebacker, bull rushing these tackles, creating disruptive plays, creating pressure. So I'm just happy for him. He's worked really hard. He's come a long way. And Walther again at the top of the screen, and he needs to do a better job of setting that edge right there. He goes unblocked at the snap, and he kind of hesitates, and he needs to just get upfield and then decide if he's going to go for the quarterback or the running back. But this is a good reverse angle on it. If he just comes upfield there and forces that play inside, it will help.
It was 3rd and 7 right afterwards at the heck of a by who was that? That's Kendrick on coverage, but also Nakobe Dean, the way that he times this blitz, it reminds me of Roquan, man. I mean, we haven't seen anybody that disguises their blitzes as well and times them as well and just gets there the way that he is right now since Roquan. And he's just
also he's creating blitz opportunities when they're not called if he recognizes that they're there and it's not going to, he's not going to leave an assignment open elsewhere. He's just incredibly cerebral.
It's 39 here on your notes.
Yep, we got Channing Tindall, just incredible in pursuit. He's coming from the opposite linebacker position over to the far hash and chasing down an SEC running back from behind and making it look easy. He's really been impressive through the first few weeks, and he was really impressive again last night. And then 41, 2 plays later, you see him come through here and make a really nice tackle. And I think for years the knock on him was that he can't hold up in the run, right? And so, like, seeing him now as a fourth-year player shedding those blocks and coming in and making tackles on running backs between the tackles is exciting. And then that's that's Jalen Carter, man. Jalen Carter's taking the leap. Like, it's happening. He's kind of on the verge of being unblockable. He was penetrating from the edge. He was penetrating from D tackle. There you've got your boy Devontae. I saw you shout that one out on Twitter earlier today. We called Devontae Wyatt. This has been a Devontae Wyatt podcast and video show forever since we started. And finally, folks are starting to recognize that he's a beast. So,
yeah. All right. And then we got a couple last 2 plays coming up, right? 62.
61, 68.
I got 62. I hope you can talk about 62. That was 62.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 68. Do you have 68?
Yep, it's coming up.
Yeah. So there's
here it comes.
This is the safety, and this is why you swarm to the football, right? Like, great work by the defense, everyone pursuing, because 1, 2, it takes 3 and the third and fourth guy to keep him from just being able to get over the goal line, and that's not a safety. And the pursuit of this Georgia defense has been fantastic to watch, and they all fly to the football, and they all come with an attitude when they get there. So impressed with what they're doing.
I mean, Jordan Davis is here, and he just finds the ball. I mean, it's just
he almost stripped him too, man. Like, Davis reached around that right side. And then I think the last one I have is second half clip 2.
Yeah.
The interception by Kendrick. And this is just what pressure and havoc does to an offense. And it starts speeding everything up. And even when guys aren't there, you're throwing off your back foot, and you're maybe moving too fast, and things get overthrown. Things get, off kilter in terms of timing. And you got Darion Kendrick there to snag it. It was nice to see him get an interception, though. I think the way that he's played so far, he's been great. He's been as good as any of us can expect. Whatever doubts there were about his tackling ability has been put to rest. And he, I think deserved to have one bounce in his lap a little bit like it did. So,
well, he had to go get it too. That didn't just fall to him. That was a heads up.
It kind of fell to him. But no, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, no one intercepts anything by mistake, right?
Dude, we just crammed through a lot of that game.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Take that sip of water.
Thanks.
It was an exciting game. I mean, I think we saw a little bit of everything. We certainly continued to see that defense just ball out and show out. And we got to see JT throw the ball downfield, which we really hadn't seen yet this season. And it was exciting. And you got to let me – is there anything you want to say on Stetson Bennett? I know you tweeted out sort of like, just – that's why you don't necessarily want to switch quarterbacks in the middle of a good offensive run. But tell me your thoughts on that.
I thought it was dumb. Just to be frank, like I thought it was a poor decision and not something you do when your offense is going 2 for 2 on touchdown drives to start the game. I think that Kirby Smart is. There's been times where Georgia has had a lack of competition in their quarterback room, and we saw that with Fromm in 2019, and that year was such a disaster, and it felt like a little bit of a lack of competition maybe hurt his development. And so I think that Kirby is trying to create that in a healthy way. Because I think that watching Stetson Bennett go out and do what he did last week had JT Daniels come out really sharp and prepared against South Carolina. So the philosophy behind it, I don't necessarily agree with or disagree with, but I don't agree with the timing of it. That's my biggest thing. And I think it's great to throw Bennett a bone for what he did last week, but do it, in the third quarter when
it was
35.
It was a lot of timing, and we kind of saw a little bit of that. Stetson Bennett is like when that was a bad overthrow, and it cost us 3 points. Defense rallied, but that was peculiar.
Yeah, and I mean, I if he's gonna do it and try this kind of 2 quarterback system rotation type thing, like I guess do it against South Carolina or Vanderbilt. Don't be messing with it against like Auburn or Arkansas or Florida or something. But yeah, man, I think that like we probably won't see it again considering the results.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Auburn, they were sort of like one of the most prolific offenses coming into that game, having played just a couple FCS schools. I looked at their numbers a little bit. They actually did okay offensively, but the end of that game, you could see some of the pains that we used to have, as Bobo called that play. Is there anything else around the weekend that you want to talk about that jumped out at you? I know the Alabama game clearly is worth talking about.
I'll say, a goal line fade from the 2 with the game on the line.
After timeout.
A moon ball fade off of Bo Nix's arms was by far the most Mike Bobo shit I have ever experienced in my life. Well, since, the fullback screen on 1st and goal at the 3 in Columbia lost Georgia that game. But, like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, have you seen Bo Nix throw a fade before? Like, why? I mean, throwing a fade at the goal line is a terrible idea all the time,
exactly.
Percentage-wise, but especially with Bo Nix and, like, whatever random wide receiver Auburn has that's not, like I didn't see them run a 6'6" guy out there. So, yeah, it was a terrible idea. I think that SEC StatCat posted some stuff that was interesting. I was listening to the radio today, riding around, and like there was a lot of people on the radio. I feel like national commentators like, well, Auburn didn't win the game, but they kind of proved themselves in this way. And like they look maybe better than people expected. And just go look at SEC StatCat's Twitter feed, because he posted a bunch of stuff on their running game. And just, I mean, they were getting like 1.7 yards before contact. Yeah. And so it wasn't as good as maybe it looked to some people. I don't think Penn State's that good either, though. So who knows? Georgia will play Auburn at some point, and that'll kind of settle itself as they go through conference play. But just, man, Bo Nix is like I almost feel bad for him, but I don't, because of some of the ways that he carries himself. But like, I think just in general, we haven't really had someone hit like him in the SEC since maybe like Bo Wallace, who like just will like, I feel like the first 2 weeks, if you're an Auburn fan, right? Like, it's like, dude, this is the year Bo Nix has got it rolling. He's looking great. He's carving up Akron, 22 for 25, leading the country in passing efficiency. And then, like, dude, did you see that moon ball he threw to Demetrius Robertson when he was running down the sideline wide open, and D-Rob, like, couldn't even find it because it was at such a weird trajectory and launch angle. I don't know what he's doing, man. So
it kind of reminds me of 2019 when Georgia was like leading the nation in 7-point-something yards per carry, and we'd come off of Vanderbilt, and I think it was Nicholls State or whatever. And it's just like you start to look at who you're playing, and you realize that those numbers aren't real, and that's definitely the case with Auburn and their opponents. And it's like, come on, man. It's the same Bo Nix, and I think that Auburn might be. I don't. Maybe they can rally, maybe they can beat some teams, but I think they might be the fourth best team in the SEC West. That might be their ceiling.
Yeah, it gets more and more hilarious every week, though, that like Bo Nix beat Alabama. Like if you go over the list of like quarterbacks that beat Saban, it's like Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, like some first round draft picks in the NFL. Like you start going down the list, and then it's like and Bo Nix, like and Steven Garcia that one time.
All right. So speaking of Alabama, it was an interesting game. I think Florida's offense is better than certainly I think you and I expected it to be. You don't think so? All right.
Well, you give your take, and then I'll give you.
No, I mean, like Emory started out rough, and then inexplicably Alabama couldn't get any offense. I mean, like the first three and outs in a row since like 2017 or something like that.
Oh wow, I didn't hear that stat. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was 2018. It was a minute since they've had 3 straight 3 and outs and stuff, and it was an ugly offense if I may say that. But Emory made some plays, and Alabama doesn't seem to be tackling as good a tackling team as we've seen in the past. So I think Alabama may not be as good as we expected, and Florida may be a little bit better. But what's your take after watching that game on Saturday?
Well, so I mean, through 2 games before that game, Florida was averaging 381 rush yards a game, like before playing Bama. So I think we all knew they were going to come in there and try and run the ball, right? Like it seemed pretty obvious that they were going to try and run the ball, and that Emory Jones had not shown he was comfortable throwing the ball deep. So you were going to see a lot of like slant patterns and in breaking routes. And he made a couple nice throws. There was one really nice throw he made on like a stop fade to the sideline in a 3rd down situation. So I don't want to like hate on him. But what I noticed during that game was that Florida dominated Alabama on the line of scrimmage on both sides, right? I mean, particularly with their offensive line. They pushed Alabama's D-line around. But even when Florida was giving Emory Jones 5, 6, and 7 seconds at times to throw the ball, none of their wide receivers could get open.
Yeah.
It's either they're not getting open or he's not reading it or he doesn't trust himself to throw it. But something is broken in their vertical passing game. Like that offense is a 180 difference between what it was with Kyle Trask last year and Pitts and Tony and all those guys bombing downfield. So what I think personally is like I thought that Florida had a good run game. I thought that Emory Jones was a good game manager quarterback who doesn't have a ton of arm talent or doesn't have great wide receivers. I'm not sure which yet, to be honest. And I think that that's still the case, right? Like what was shocking to me about that game was that you and me and my dad and, anyone in the world who watches college football knew that Florida was going to run the exact game plan that they ran, and Alabama couldn't stop it or did nothing to stop it. So, like, I think I tweeted yesterday, it's like I finally understand the Pete Golding hate a little bit because, like, if I'm an Alabama fan and I'm looking at what they've recruited and I'm looking at the state of that defense, like, they just looked so poorly coached at times. Third and 10 from their own 1 yard line, and their safety absolutely like overruns the mess out of a short little slant route where all he has to do is just make a tackle and they're punting from their 5. And then they go on a 99-yard drive. It's like those little things swing big games like that. I was impressed with Florida's resolve to come back from 21-3 down, and I think they deserve credit for it. Like, they played a very good football game, but just to be truthful, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Florida, I know everyone's going to think that I am, but the reality is, like, I thought that Florida looked about like the Florida football team that I've thought they were through the first couple of weeks of the season. Alabama looks like a much worse football team than I think any of us thought they were. And I think they have major issues in the secondary, in the linebacking core, and on both lines of scrimmage. And if they don't get that cleaned up, I think Ole Miss could beat them in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And A&M too. A&M, I mean,
A&M, Arkansas, I mean,
yeah,
LSU is a mess right now, but they have enough talent to beat anybody any day. Like, I think this is going to be an adventurous year for Alabama fans. And, I will remind everybody, though, that Alabama's linebackers and safeties sucked against Ole Miss in week 3 or 4 of the season last year.
And then they shut it down.
Yeah, they turned it on. So if anyone's going to coach them up and fix it, it's Saban. But I also thought that Bill O'Brien kind of didn't call a very good game, their offensive coordinator. And I think that just in general, like on the list of people I don't want around my football program that's been humming along successfully for a decade and a half, Bill O'Brien is like somewhere near the top 5. And I just wonder if like that hire is going to look kind of bad in hindsight at some point. But at the same time, Saban has made hiring Butch Jones look fashionable. Same with Lane Kiffin. Same with Steve Sarkisian when he was coming off a lot of personal issues. So, like, he's earned the benefit of the doubt 100%. But I think, like, if I was a Florida fan waking up this morning and I went back and looked at that game and, realized that we outrushed Alabama 4-1 and lost, like, I would be despondent, man, just because I don't know that you get a better shot than that to take down a number 1 team,
Yeah, it was, you get them at home and you've got things going, and you just couldn't close the deal.
I mean, they outgained them 439 to 324. And ran 8 more plays than them, had 4 less penalties than Alabama. That one turnover was huge, though.
Yeah. All right, we're at 52. We gotta get out of here. Save some.
One more thing I'll say though is just that I think that watching that game yesterday, Georgia matches up really well with what Florida wants to do. Just because like Georgia's got the front 7 that's going to force them to throw the ball. And if they can do it, if Emory Jones and those wide receivers can go out there and beat one-on-one coverage consistently down the field against you, then you just you tip your hat to them and say, good job. I just don't think they can.
All right. We got a few more weeks before we did get into that, but it's always on. The cocktail party is always on our minds. Graham,
there's always a cocktail party at my house.
Graham, good job, man. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still with us, please subscribe to the YouTube and the Apple podcast or wherever you get your podcasts. We've got FTMF hats in stock at dogstats.com. We've got stickers in stock. We are cranking out stuff. We're cranking out product. We're cranking out material. Graham, thank you, buddy. And we'll be back later this week with some picks and a little bit of a preview of the Vandy game.
Thank you.
All right. With that, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.